Action.
Aloha class.
Aloha!
Today we are going to learn about primary and secondary sources. Before we start, we are going to play a game called telephone. And so, since you already sit in a line, I'm gonna pick a person so in this game, you have to whisper a phrase and pass it along to the end, and then they will whisper it back. So the person who starts the whisper will see if the message is correct or wrong. So I'm gonna pick a person to start the whisper, and I will pick Jasmine. You can whisper any phrase that you want to whisper to Nale, and then Nale will whisper whatever he heard from Jasmine to
Pass it to them.
pass it to them, and it will go along up to Ulu, then come back from Ulu to, you only say it once, yeah? So start.
Baby truth or
She says to me or she said out loud?
And then Ulu will
pass it back.
pass it back. So Jasmine, did the message was it correct? What did the message that you get after?
I love
Now.
Peter Pan.
Yeah, was it correct?
No.
So what was the true message that
I love pepperoni pizza parties.
Are you serious? How did it get so different?
So,
What happened?
She was big fuss.
yeah.
You're the one!
So now do you see the do you see how information changes as it
Goes from person to
yeah,
person.
goes along from Jasmine to Ulu and then coming back from Ulu to Jasmine? Do you see how the information changes?
Drastically, so much.
Yeah.
Almost unrecognizable.
Yeah, because like it was a long phrase that she said, but then when the message comes to it, it's just a short. Yeah. So it is very important. Why do you think that it is important that we must get the right information?
Because maybe I was trying to say something to you, but maybe she never got my message.
Yes.
Giving the wrong message and then it's not take us the wrong way.
Yes. So yeah, so thank you. That's correct. It is very important that we must get the right information. So, cause we never know what, like what Ulu said, that it will help us. Like if we need having the correct information will help us, especially when we do a research paper or trying to get to write a report. It is very important that we must get correct information. If we get a wrong one, like the message, your report or your information will be wrong as well. So it is very important that we must get correct information. And so I want you to listen carefully, because we are going to work in groups, and I am going to divide you into two groups. And team into two groups. So one group will be team A and one group will be team B. So I want you guys to listen carefully. But before we go on into our group, I want you guys to also get to know our lesson outcomes, which is defined. Student will be able to define, after this lesson, you will be able to define primary and secondary sources and also identify the examples of primary and secondary sources. So, okay, I will divide you now into two groups. And so I want Jasmine and Ulu, you will be team A, and Nale, Dan, and Gina will be group B. And there will be a group leader and also a group reader. So Jasmine, you will be the group leader, you will be the group reader, yeah? And I want Nale to be the group reader and Dan to be the group leader. You,
I accept.
yeah, and I want, since you are in 3 groups, I want you to make sure that you guys are doing what you're supposed to do, yeah? So the group leader will come to the front and pick up your notes. You have a note here, you will make sure that you have notes for each of your group and you give it to your group. And after that, I want you guys to read. I want you to read, take turn in reading your note. After that, then you discuss. Your own,
Yes.
then you discuss your own understanding of that concept, yeah? And its example, I want you to discuss it in your own words so that you can know it. After that, then you fill up your, there's an activity in there, you need to fill it up. Fill it up, yeah? Let's start.
Hey. Should we go to this table first?
Correct question. Team A will be in the middle table and Team B will be in this table.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So this is yours. And this
We're going to go there. Yeah. All right, teams. We can do this. I imagine we're in a history class, social studies class, and we're here to become better historians. So, what historians do is they use sources to write their papers to come up with their historical kind of consensus. So, Nali, as our reader, can you read our definition, please? for us?
Okay, learning to identify primary and secondary sources.
Okay.
Primary sources
Primary sources are records
of
of
the
events as they
events
first
as
described
they are first
without anyone
described,
else's
without
interpretation, what they
anyone
think it
else's
means, or
interpretation,
analysis, taking apart
what they
finding
think
meaning.
it means,
These items
or
include letters,
analysis,
photographs, maps, printed
taking
materials,
it
newspapers,
apart
videos,
to
and
find
sound
meaning.
recordings.
These
Physical objects
items
such as
can be letters, photography, photographers or photograph, maps, printed material
Yeah.
such as newspapers,
So what's this?
video, and sounds recordings, and physical
What's wrong?
objects such as
So then we're going to use this?
furniture,
And I'll
or
take-
tools.
Oh.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so you must
So,
have this.
Here, I'll just repeat what I have and now you can kind of check and make sure that I, okay? So we were doing this as a team. Primary sources are records of events as they first are described without anyone else's interpretation or analysis.
Okay.
These items can be
Secondary
letters,
source,
photographs,
magazine,
maps,
articles,
printed
describing a
materials
piece of
such as
art,
newspapers,
background
videos,
to life.
and sound recording, and
Critics
physical
review
objects such as
reports.
clothing, furniture,
Secondary
or
sources offer analysis or an explanation of primary
Okay.
sources.
Let's go to the
Secondary
example.
sources use primary sources.
Primary
to
source
explain an
example.
idea.
Art
Examples of
is
secondary sources are
original
dictionaries,
artwork.
encyclopedias,
exactly. So
textbooks,
if it's like a
books.
Van Gogh, it's an actual Van Gogh, not like a copy of one.
But the history is original letter.
Like a
Secondary
letter.
sources offer
Letter, diary, perhaps.
analysis.
And the last one is theater, videotape, or theater performance.
Some secondary
Like Into the
sources
Woods.
use
Music.
primary sources.
So,
Or examples.
Secondary source,
yeah.
be a primary.
A secondary
Yeah,
source.
so imagine this is-
Encyclopedias, textbooks.
Okay. Will that be the next?
Oh,
It's wonderful. So
thank
I think we have mastered primary sources.
you. Wow.
I can't wait to write our paper.
So this will be already understand about primary source.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yes, we're pretty good. What do you think, Tina?
Hey.
Mhm. But thank you for your help. This is a great activity. I love it.
Are we done? Okay. So now I want this one. This will be we're gonna move into our next station. So I want that team reader from group B to go to group A, and then team reader in group B in group A will come to group B. So now can the team reader can exchange team? Oh, I think it's reader. Team reader? Reader.
Reader.
Oh, so they
So
don't.
if you are a team reader, you exchange team and the rest of the members can just sit still.
I know you were originally part of group A.
Now I want you to listen carefully for our next next game so that we can know what to do. So now each team reader will explain to their team members what their group has discussed about. So it's like you are going to teach your group member what your group that you have discussed about. So let's say that Ulu, she was in group A. So now she will explain to them, her group member, what she discussed about with her group members. So she is teaching them about her team, which is primary sources. It's secondary sources.
Secondary
I'm
sources.
sorry.
Probably in,
Well, secondary sources.
yes,
They offer an analysis
we learn about
or an explanation of primary sources. Some secondary sources are primary sources to support a certain opinion or idea. Examples of secondary sources are dictionaries, encyclopedias,
It's all like,
textbooks, books, and art.
events that, it's more like,
Okay, so how about we stop there?
it
Okay.
talk about a
Just
record,
make sure there's no questions.
or events that they first described without anyone.
Okay, it's pretty straightforward.
And it's more like,
And then-
what you call, for example, like the
Follow.
performance,
That
was
is secondary
first
sources
written in English, that's what we
We
call.
are, we're
like art,
trying to,
a magazine article
But if it's,
describing art.
You interpret that to another
It
language.
is like a biography about a person's life,
Teachers. Like, for example,
or critics
it was,
review of a performance.
first with English, write in English or, but if they
What's
change
the
it or
Chinese
interpret it
character
to
for
Different
deer?
different
languages.
languages, need to be a secondary.
Really?
Yes.
But wasn't the Book of Mormon originally written in
Different.
not in
No, not
English?
in
Yeah, it
English.
was like.
Not in
So
English.
Book of Mormon right now English is a secondary.
Yes.
Yeah.
secondary.
Is it broken up into parts or can it be broken up?
So-
Okay.
I'll read it.
This, well, I don't know what the background is, but
Primary sources are
This
records of
it's kind of
events
a stage.
as they are first
This is like an
described
animal,
without anyone else's
that's like
interpretation
someone,
or analysis.
not wanting
This item can
making
be
an animal.
letters,
Oh, okay.
This is a stage
photographs,
of observers, animal,
printed materials
Guy.
such as newspapers, video, and sound
Kind of-
recording, and
Do they
physical
draw-
like
objects
show, it means like show, but like
such
you
as
just
clothing,
Do they draw a
furniture,
distinction
or
between
tools.
deer during circus?
The
Or
Oh, yeah.
example
It's different.
What
that
the
the teacher
character
gives
for
us the
circus?
art is
Circus is
an original
right.
artwork. The history is an original letter. And the last one is theater, is videotape.
We're talking about these sources in different languages.
So,
To expand our knowledge, you've inspired us
Thank
so.
you.
That's circus, this means horse,
Mm.
Primary
this means,
sources.
Thank you.
movie, or this means
Okay,
and this means group.
are you guys all done? Okay, so Gina,
Yes,
what did you learn about secondary sources?
I learned that secondary sources explain the primary source. And so they're not the original, but they kind of supplement and build up on the original source.
Yes, thank you, Gina, that's correct.
Yay!
So, Jasmine, can you please share with the class what did you learn about primary sources?
Primary sources are records of events that are the original. So it's without anybody's interpretation or nobody messed with it. And
Yes, that's correct. So, from our leader study, group activities and reading, we have come to understand that primary sources are documents that give the first-hand accounts or testimony from direct witness. So,
I always hold primary sources.
Yeah.
Secondary.
and then secondary sources describe the facts and information and can also present argument based on those facts. So right here, I have here examples of primary and secondary sources, so we can look at it. But I will show it to you. So in here, this is a letter that was written by a husband to his wife in 1961. So do you guys think, what do you think? Is it a primary or a secondary source?
Primary.
Primary, why?
because even though it's not the original, nobody messed with it. So it's still originally what he wrote.
That's
Go
correct,
ahead,
Jasmine. Thank you.
Could I see the letter, teacher?
Yes,
Out
sure.
of curiosity.
Right.
And I'll heard it too.
So, this one is an art picture, a photograph pictures. What do you think? Is it primary or secondary? It was the original, but then I have to photocopy it in the machine and print it.
Primary?
Yes, it's a primary. And because it's this is the original picture and yeah.
And even though it's photocopied, it's still primary?
Yes. And here are examples of maps. So this is the olden maps, the first maps. I think it's simply this one. And this one is the new map. Is the modern map. So this one is an example of secondary. And this one is an example of a primary because it's the original. And a channel. I got here a channel. And that channel is an example of what?
Primary source.
Yes. Thank you. So now that we have learned and discussed about primary and secondary sources, I want you guys to get to just in that group that you're still in, I want you guys to draw a picture. You can choose to sit here or in your table. I want you to just draw or write down something that you learned from primary sources, and this group will be secondary sources.
That's secondary.
Yes.
Alright, team leader and delegator.
Leader.
Your secondary?
The secondary.
Write down one
Secondary
thing.
sources.
One thing of the day. Voki, you've reached 22 minutes.
Oh yeah, book. That's a biography about
We're drawing a picture to describe
Joseph Smith.
primary.
So primary would be if Joseph Smith wrote a book about himself, and secondary is if I wrote a book about Joseph Smith. You know, we can draw a book.
Draw a
Do
book.
that.
Love your changes.
You wanna do it?
One more minute.
Who do you want to be about?
Joseph Smith. That was the original source. Anyone here to object?
Nice.
We are.
Okay,
And
now,
here is your letter back.
thank you. Now I want each group member to come to the front and present their culture or that diagram that they have been
Alright.
making.
Alright, so we just have something simple but good. It's been a long week about primary sources that are original, like the Book of Mormon. For those of you, we could read the Book of Mormon, and the secondary source that would accompany the Book of Mormon would be like our manuals. There's something about that helps interpret the Book of Mormon, but this is a primary source.
What's the Book of Mormon?
It's a book of scripture written about the Americas. Read it and you'll find out. Yes.
Is Book of Mormon primary even though it's been translated into a different language?
Well, every translation it's a close approximation. It is an interpretation of sorts, but if the translators are honest, it is.
So the Bible is maybe secondary because it's been translated a lot.
Yes, so you start getting to different definitions of what's primary and secondary. But on the surface though, the Book of Mormon is primary, but then you start getting into, well, is it really? But as it stands here, it is.
Good job.
Thank you. Now, Jean, secondary.
We
By
did
nine, Jack.
a book about Joseph Smith's life, and we wrote it.
Yes.
Dedicated to who?
Joseph Smith.
Thank you.
Oh, dedicated to Joseph Smith's family.
About the meaning of God and all that.
Yeah, thank you, class. Now, I want you to go home and just and think about our library. Think about our library and write down. That's your homework for tomorrow. Anything from the library that is a primary or a secondary. Just write it down, then write it aside if it's a primary or a secondary, yeah? Do we understand?
Will do.
Our homework,
Yes.
it's written here at the board, you have to write it down, yeah? Thank you, class.
Thank you.
Right, Gina.
This is very